those who protect and respect nature, and there are those who don't. And now there's an Instagram that shames people who do not respect our beautiful state. It's called Trail Trash CO. Says play by the rules or get named and shamed. I'm not sure how I feel about this in the end, but there have been people sending in photos and evidence of people disrespecting trails in the wilderness, and they have been called out publicly by Instagram name and by photo. Is this how you do it? Is this how you convince people to protect our beautiful state? So this is what Colorado's fracking debate has come to. Extra security at a state meeting this week to discuss an anti-fracking ballot question that's being pushed by a guy who says that it's morally responsible to blow up oil wells and eliminate energy workers. Call this observation biased if you want, but I'm just going to say if you're hinting at killing your opponents, you've probably lost the public argument. Anyway, here's politics guy Brandon Ritteman with a scary turn in a serious debate.
The Boulder Daily Camera published a letter to the editor from a man named Andrew O'Connor, who finished his argument against fracking with this. If the oil and gas industry puts fracking wells in our neighborhoods, threatening our lives and our children's lives, then don't we have a moral responsibility to blow up wells and eliminate fracking and workers?
Those workers are the same people who will be in the room at the title setting process.
Deputy Secretary of State Suzanne Steyert has to set up a meeting where O'Connor and the oil industry will both be there, arguing over a tax increase that O'Connor wants to put on your election ballot. That meeting would normally happen in this downtown office building that houses the Secretary of State's office, but Steyert says they have to delay this meeting now and find a space in a secure building with metal detectors because of what O'Connor wrote.
From this point on, that will be a security precaution that we're obligated to take.
The only one who would argue that is some Republican, some conservative hole from oil and gas.
O'Connor, who declined to provide us a photo of himself, told us he wasn't advocating blowing up people, just the oil wells. When he wrote about eliminating workers, he says he meant putting them out of work, not hurting them.
And the Secretary of State is being ridiculous drama queens. It doesn't mean that at all.
The Boulder Daily Camera edited this part of his letter to remove the reference to blowing things up, and the opinion editor there now says it was a mistake to publish it the first time. For Next, I'm Brandon Ritteman.
For what it's worth, there certainly will be a lot more interest in that Friday meeting on the ballot question in the secure building. Our next question comes from Steve M. It's a saucy question about street names in Milliken. Steve heard that most of the north-south streets are named after prostitutes who worked at the bordello there in the very early 1900s. Old-fashioned women's names: Josephine, Marjorie, Irene, Olive. Well, that's a spicy little piece of Colorado history, if true. And if not true, it wrongly suggests that a bunch of people's grandmas in Milliken were hookers. Photojournalist Mike Grady was brave enough to go up there and ask.
Town of Milliken.
Small farming community.
Know a lot about everybody, a little bit about everybody, too much about most.
It's a railroad and agricultural community. It's how it got its start.
Allegedly, there was a brothel of some sort here back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, something along those lines.
What I got told was that
allegedly the street names were named after
prostitutes from back in the day. There's Alice, Irene, Beulah,
Cora, Dorothy, Ethel,
Norma, Alice, Grace,
Frances, Grace, Harriet, Irene.
The main street through town is Broad Street.
I'm Kent Brown. I'm the town administrator with the town of Milliken. What the old timers say is that it was named for the wives or other family members of the Denver, Laramie, and Northwestern Railroad.
Interesting. I've never heard any other rumor other than that it was the other way.
I'm sure they'll love knowing that that's what we thought of them all these years.
Of course, that doesn't carry much weight with a lot of folks, so then it gets to, well, we'll go with the first story.
It definitely makes for a better story. I don't know what would take for them to okay, we're going to name a street after you. I don't know if they had to do something really good or if they had to do something really bad.
Congressman Ken Buck has refused to talk to Next ever since we pointed out how he tried to have it both ways on Republicans' plan to repeal Obamacare. He told us that he didn't support it, and then a week later he said he had supported it. That new position won Buck praise from President Trump on Twitter. We've been trying to get a straight answer about the buck and forth since then, so we flew to Washington and found Congressman Buck, who offered a second provably false statement to our politics guy, Brandon Ritteman. And then the congressman walked away.
Hi, Congressman. How are you? Good. We happen to be in D.C.
Well, I'm happy to have you here.
We'll see just how happy he is in a moment. After he ducked a scheduled interview in Denver, our Brandon Rittiman joined Congressman Buck on an elevator in Washington.
Come on the elevator.
And now it's going down.
What you did was really unfair.
How was it unfair?
Because what you said was that the president tweeted something that made me change my opinion.
That is false. We were very clear the president's tweet happened after Buck rewrote history on his position. We'll show you our original report right after Congressman Buck wraps up his point.
The president's tweet had nothing to do with my position.
Here's the original report on how Buck changed his position and then won praise from the president.
Congressman Ken Buck's stunning flip-flop has fooled at least one person, President Trump, who tweeted his approval of Congressman Buck's new position.
Back to the Capitol, where we're still trying to find out where Congressman Buck really stands on repealing and replacing the Affordable Care Act, and we're not having much success.
Bad, as evidence.
I've got to go, but you should look at your story.
Which was true, Congressman? Was it true that you were going to vote for it and you weren't going to tell us?
Long plane ride to Washington for a short conversation with Congressman Buck. So here's my take on this. Congressman Buck is baking himself a layer cake of provably false statements, hoping he will never have to eat it. And he's probably right. He's making a safe bet that the Republicans who support him dislike us in the media enough that they'll just look past his conflicting and false statements. He's obviously not the first politician to try that tactic, but every time voters shrug it off, more elected officials are just emboldened to stray from the truth. A correction now. Chuck Hazley of Boulder caught an error on Next last night. When I talked about the implosion of the bipartisan transportation plan at the state capitol, I went, Chuck rightly notes that is not an implosion. Implosions collapse inward. So I should have said the bipartisan transportation plan at the state capitol imploded. We regret the error. The internet's getting all weak-kneed over a veterinarian in Lakewood. Dr. Ross Henderson grabbed a guitar recently to soothe a stressed-out dog with little Elvis. Someone was taking a video, and the rest is internet history.
Barrington, sit, Barrington, sit.
Something special about our four-legged friends. It's cool just when they're kind of running around, they're kind of jumping up on the cage and stuff, and then going to kind of relax, sleepy, and feeling better, you know. So if only I could do it with every puppy, I think that would be nice. But
they might try and pee if anybody pets them just right, or lick the plate clean if anybody lets them. I just might.
I grew up playing piano for forever, classical piano, and then guitar, and then started singing, and then started playing at different places. But so it's my Batman life, because I like to play music. You wouldn't think there's a good merging of music and veterinary medicine, but maybe I've found the niche, you know, just playing for one person audience. Green-eyed monster stealing kisses when you're trying to snuggle your missus. Oh, what better kind of audience to share something with, and for them to feel calmed by it, I think is of course incredibly rewarding, you know. Slip away.
Yay, good job.
By the way, ladies, I could see you peering at the screen at Dr. Ross's left hand to see if he was single. He's married, quite happily. Some Whole Foods customers leaving the store with a lighter wallet and a weighty sense of self. Kidding, I shop there from time to time. Some of those customers in Littleton are getting an extra surprise. Photojournalist Chris Hansen turned his lens on the reason.
I think it's just one of those stories that everybody could feel good about.
Did you find everything okay today?
Whole Foods does a really good job of promoting and taking care of local brands.
This is the first year that she's come to this parking lot.
I just saw it out there. I was just like, what is this goose doing out here? And they said it's laying eggs, and I thought it was cool. We get to watch nature in action.
She seems pretty happy and content here.
Oh my God, she's so cute. And of all places that she picked to lay her eggs.
So we just came in one day and we saw two geese just kind of hovering around this area. And then on the next day, Tuesday, that's when we saw 3 eggs laid there.
So how much longer will it be before the eggs hatch?
It takes 25 days for the eggs to hatch. So we have a date of May 5th that we're looking to have some new babies in the parking lot. The dad goose, you know, he's around.
It's been like a week that we haven't seen him.
Oh, there's Daddy Goose right across the street. He's over there checking us out.
He got hit by a car, so.
In his beginning of the 2nd week, he was limping around the parking lot quite a bit, had some blood on his leg. After a while, he's been good. You know, he's been walking around doing well.
All right, like any good mama, she's protecting her nest.
And we've also learned that once they pick a nesting area and they like it, they'll come back for the next 20 to 25 years. Hopefully we're all here when they hatch and go on their way.
Good luck, Mama. Good luck, Mama Goose.
Stores coordinated with police and animal control to move the goose family to a nearby lake. You know, timing is right.